bullied teen is scared to go to prom. Then Johnny Depp knocks on her door. When you're different, high school can feel like a prison. For 17-year-old Amy, every day was a battle against loneliness, ridicule, and rejection. She had always known she was different. Her love for art, her fascination with movie characters, and her introverted nature set her apart. But instead of celebrating her uniqueness, her classmates saw her as an easy target. Prom season, which should have been a time of excitement and dreams, became a nightmare for Amy. Amy found solace in her art. Her small bedroom walls were adorned with her sketches. Her sanctuary from the cruel words and laughter she faced at school. She poured her heart into drawing her favorite movie characters, especially Captain Jack Sparrow. There was something about Johnny Depp's portrayal that resonated deeply with her. The mischievous grin, the confident swagger, qualities she wished she could embody herself, drew her in. Watching his interviews where he spoke about feeling like an outsider gave her a flicker of hope. If someone as remarkable as Johnny Depp could find his place in the world, maybe she could too. But high school had a way of extinguishing her hope. The teasing intensified as prom approached. One morning, she stood frozen in front of her locker, her heart sinking as she read the cruel notes plastered across it. No one would take you to prom. Stay home where you belong. The laughter of her classmates echoed in her ears, their whispers slicing through her like daggers. Amy held her tears back, refusing to let them see her cry, but the damage was done. That evening, she told her mother she wasn't going to prom. Her mother's heart broke, but she didn't push. She could see the pain her daughter was hiding. Amy buried herself in her art, spending late nights sketching to the sound of Johnny Depp's movies playing softly in the background. She sketched Jack Sparrow over and over, finding comfort in his quirky, fearless persona. But deep down, she felt like giving up. Her art teacher, Mrs. Hernandez, had been watching Amy with growing concern. She could see the once bright spark in Amy's eyes fading. After class one day, Mrs. Hernandez gently asked Amy to stay behind. In the quiet, Amy opened up about how hard things had been and how she admired Johnny Depp's characters. Mrs. Hernandez listened intently, her heart aching for the girl who just wanted to be herself. Determined to help, Mrs. Hernandez reached out to an old friend in the film industry and shared Amy's story. She couldn't have imagined what would happen next. Her friend passed the story along, and it eventually reached Johnny Depp himself. Depp was deeply moved by Amy's story. He remembered his own struggles with feeling different and misunderstood. Without hesitation, he decided to do something special for her. The night of the prom arrived, and Amy was in her room, sketching as usual. She'd accepted her decision to skip prom and had convinced herself she didn't care. But a knock at the door changed everything. Her mother called out, saying someone was here to see her. Curious and slightly annoyed, Amy opened the door and froze. Standing there, in full Captain Jack Sparrow costume, was Johnny Depp. He gave her a theatrical bow, his grin wide and mischievous. "I heard you might need a pirate escort to prom," he said, his voice dripping with Jack Sparrow's signature charm. Amy's jaw dropped. For a moment she couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe. Was this real? Was she dreaming? Her mother stood behind her, tears streaming down her face, nodding to reassure her this was really happening. Amy managed a shaky smile, and before she knew it, Johnny Depp extended his arm, asking if she would grant him the honor of being her prom date. The drive to prom was surreal. Depp stayed in character, making Amy laugh with pirate jokes and tales of high seas adventures. For the first time in months, she felt the weight of her classmates' cruelty lift. She didn't feel small or invisible. She felt seen, important, and valued. When they arrived at the prom, the room fell silent. Heads turned, whispers filled the air, and jaws dropped. Amy, the girl they had bullied and ridiculed, walked in arm with one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Depp played his part perfectly, striding into the room as if he owned it. He gave the crowd a sweeping look and declared, "Well, well, what a fine crew we have here tonight." Laughter rippled through the room, breaking the tension. Depp led Amy to the dance floor, bowing dramatically before taking her hand. As they danced, he leaned down and whispered, "You're braver than you know, Amy." Those words stayed with her. For years, she had felt small, unworthy, and invisible. Now, standing in the spotlight with someone she admired, she felt a sense of belonging she had never known. But Depp wasn't done. After their dance, he guided Amy to the microphone. Encouraging her with a nod, he said, "The world needs to hear from you, love." Amy hesitated, her nerves threatening to overwhelm her. But then she looked into Depp's kind, reassuring eyes, and something inside her shifted. She stepped up to the microphone and began to speak. She didn't call out her bullies or dwell on the pain they had caused. Instead, she spoke about kindness, about how everyone is fighting battles others can't see. Her voice trembled at first, but as she continued, it grew stronger. The room was silent, her classmates hanging on her every word. When she finished, the room erupted in applause. As the night went on, classmates who had never spoken to Amy, or worse, had bullied her, approached her. Some apologized, tears in their eyes as they admitted they hadn't realized the impact of their actions. Amy, with Depp's encouragement, forgave them. It wasn't easy, but it was liberating. Before the night ended, Depp handed Amy a leather-bound journal. Inside, he had written notes of encouragement, each one a reminder of her strength and worth. "Whenever you feel like the world is against you, remember this," he said. Amy clutched the journal tightly, tears streaming down her face. It wasn't just a gift, it was a lifeline. In the weeks that followed, Amy's life began to change. She walked the school halls with her head held high. She joined clubs, made new friends, and started speaking out about the importance of kindness and the dangers of bullying. Depp kept in touch, sending her messages of encouragement that reminded her she wasn't alone. Amy's story didn't end with prom night. It was just the beginning. The shy, quiet girl who once felt invisible was now a confident young woman with a bright future. She pursued her passion for art, inspired by the man who had shown her that being different was something to be celebrated, not hidden. Johnny Depp's visit wasn't just a fleeting moment of kindness. It was a turning point that changed Amy's life forever. And in return, Amy's story became a beacon of hope for others. A reminder that even in the darkest times, kindness has the power to change everything.